What up? Here we are, season 5. I'm your host, Chase Minnifield, Hooswhere Podcast. Max, what's good?
What's up, fellas? Season 5. We in Richmond. This might be the last one of the season in Richmond, my new hometown. So I'm very excited. We got definitely a special one for y'all today.
You want to take the intro?
I'll take the intro. So got a very special guest today. Known her a good few years, been about 10 years now. I always knew she was gonna do something special. I didn't know in what. I don't think she knew in what, but very, very glad to have her. Big in the film industry, definitely big into what's going on in the world today. It's kind of some of the I'll say controversial topics. Not afraid to dive into and get into those. Yeah. And I'm not shocked knowing her because back in the day when we used to hang out, she wasn't afraid to tell it like it is to me and everybody else around us. So, without further ado, we appreciate having you, Lex Boothe, on the podcast today. How you doing?
Thank you, gentlemen. I appreciate it. I'm glad to be here. Thank you for that introduction, Max.
Of course. Always.
I appreciate it. Yeah, I hope I continue to tell it like it is in this conversation. We'll see how it goes.
Perfect.
Seem like I'm gonna have to be sophisticated in this.
Hey.
Cross my legs for this.
Get ready to go,
right
bro.
here.
You know what I'm saying? You gotta switch it up. We went from locker room to real world.
To real world here. So
let's go.
Lex, who is Lex Boothe?
I'm trying to figure out how.
Tough question right out the gate.
Yeah, I'm not trying to go straight into this is what I do. I really shy away from that. But I am a human being. Can we start there?
Yeah,
is that
nice.
too?
Love it.
I mean, yeah.
Love it.
I would hope you're not an alien.
Yeah, I am a witness. I've really learned a lot about the power of being able to be present in the world and see what's going on and see what matters, see what I care about, see what I'm passionate about. So being a witness, just showing up and being in a place is really important for me. I do storytelling off of that skill that I've developed. So my brother and I started a production company a couple years ago, focusing on documentary film at this point. I really enjoy telling stories about community, social justice, anything that elevates the voice of people who oftentimes don't get the mic in our society. I did a short film about my family exiting grad school, which is where I learned the skill of storytelling and filmmaking specifically. And that documentary is called Mixed Feelings. It's about growing up mixed race and what it means to be, from my experience, biracial in this country. And I'm currently working on 2 projects that are DC-based, community-focused stories. One about a grassroots movement to kind of own the economic development process in the Ward 8 neighborhood, Anacostia, Congress Heights area of DC. Long, economically, quote-unquote, depressed area of the city, has not gotten a lot of resource funding attention. And so the community wants to do something about that. Gentrification is happening really fast, that side of the river. And people don't want to feel like they're once again pushed out. So that's one story that we're working on. And another story is about a grocery store that closed quite suddenly. It was open and closed in a year in also Ward 8, the Bellevue neighborhood. And it's a food apartheid, food desert. There's all sorts of terms and words these days about it, but it's a community that struggles for food access in a country that should never have such an issue, of course. Mm-hmm. And so it's the story of the community once again having to come to terms with promises and dreams being sold and not being able to actualize or see those things come to pass.
Before I keep going to this, Max, that beer has been the same size. Or did you refill?
I just refill, first of all.
All right.
Can I can't wet my whistle, bro?
I'll just let you know I know.
I just refilled.
I'm just letting you know that I know.
And it's on tape, Chase.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Now we all know. Yeah.
There you go.
So, Lex, where are you from?
Yeah, that's a tough question. Somebody was just asking me that. So I was born in Jersey.
Okay.
Teaneck, New Jersey. I lived there for just about 3 years, and then we moved to the South. I grew up in Atlanta for a little bit.
Okay.
I was in Houston for a little bit, And then my mom's job, actually, she worked in shipping. Her job got transferred overseas to Singapore when I was 16. So I moved over there and finished high school in Singapore, and then found myself at UVA.
Yeah, how does that happen?
Yeah, I went to a very American school in Singapore, and so there was so much emphasis on college recruiting and where are kids going to go and what are they going to do. So UVA recruited at my school, and it wasn't on my screen, it wasn't on my radar. I'd never been to Virginia like that in any real capacity when I was younger. But a friend of mine had lived in Virginia when she was younger and was then out in Singapore, and she just randomly said, I think you would fit there. So I applied, and it was halfway between where my family was in New York and Atlanta, so I wasn't going to be too close to anybody. So I said,
that works.
Let's go. Yeah, that's it.
Were you considered an international student?
I was when I came in, yeah.
That's what's up.
I came in with the international crew cohort.
You didn't stay at the international student housing though, did you?
Nah, I think you know this, Max. I went to Brown College, actually. Y'all know what that is?
No.
No.
All right, good, because usually that's when the jokes come.
thought
No,
Brown-
it was one of those.
I thought you were talking like Brown, like
Brown, like
Brown's
Brown
actual
University.
college.
Yeah,
or Brown
no,
University?
there's a Brown College. You know those dorms
for
that you could
Brown
apply into?
Students?
I think so.
For Brown students?
I did happen to be brown, but no, it was
Oh,
no. There's
all
very
right.
few brown people
Hey,
there or
hey,
anywhere. Let's be
if,
real.
If there's a
Don't-
place that might have a
but,
segregated dorm
hey,
for brown students,
listen.
UVA would be one of them.
Oh yeah. This is where you
I don't
go.
know if we want to go there on this
That's
particular
just real.
podcast,
All right,
but I'd be
keep
happy
it
to.
right.
I'd be happy to.
Nah, keep it moving.
No, Brown College is one of those housing options that you could apply into your first year. And because I didn't get a chance to visit UVA before I went, I was looking at, just verbally written all of these different options for dorms. And the idea that there was no AC, especially coming from Asia, I was like,
That ain't it.
I needed
That ain't
a
it. Okay.
AC unit, and Brown had that. So
Brown. I
That's
don't know
fair.
where
Went from
Brown
there.
is. I only knew.
It
What
was
year
like-
did you graduate?
2012.
You're younger than us.
Okay.
I mean, graduated the same year,
I
but
thought
she
there was
came in a
only.
year
I thought
after
there
us.
was only one.
Woody.
Yeah, I thought only Woody had ACC.
We ain't never heard of exactly what you're saying.
No,
We ain't never
because
heard
you
of
have to
Brown.
apply to it. You don't have to apply to Woody like that.
Okay.
Right? Like,
No.
I ain't never heard of Brown.
Yeah, I never heard of that either.
you know where Newcomb Hall was?
Yeah.
It was those brick.
The brick ones up there.
Yeah, right
I
there.
didn't even know that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
I don't even know what they're called up there.
They
But the
Brown
people that lived
College.
up there were definitely outsiders.
They're a little different.
Definitely.
They're a little different.
Yeah, we had a reputation. We were. Trust me, I felt that way too. But I'm happy I was there. I learned some hard lessons those first
Like
2
once
years.
if you found out somebody lived up there, you can't visit. You know?
Nah. They
Yeah.
outcast.
Only if you go to eat at Newcomb.
That's
it.
I mean, well, speaking of being outcast, one of the questions we always asked, how was your experience being, mixed race? I know you got a whole documentary, we can watch that, but just at UVA, did you have trouble finding your lane there?
for
Did you find
sure,
it easy to kind of mingle in with whatever group you wanted to find there? What was that like?
Yeah, it was tough. I'm not gonna lie. I think I'm generally a social person, so it wasn't that I was struggling to have quote unquote friends, but there was a lot of stuff that I got hit with coming back to America that I don't think I was quite ready for, around race, around just how we do ourselves in hierarchy and who's the popular clique and and that stuff existed in Asia, of course it exists everywhere, but America's brand is just wow. And so when I came back, also coming to the South, coming to Mr. Jefferson's University, the white and the starkness of racism was just so in your face, even when they tried to put it behind certain cutesy little things. So, yeah, that was tough. And then, let's be real. I don't know what y'all's experience was, but in the Black community, there was so much crabs in a barrel, like backbiting, people trying to jockey for their positions, who's going to be the pretty girl, who's going to be the coolest athlete guy. Like all that shit was playing out, and it was nasty.
Well, there's a new TikTok going around I've been watching that's like, what's one of the things you're scared to admit as being a Black person? And one of I've seen that a lot is that Black people are the meanest to mixed girls. Is that something that you have experienced?
Black women or black guys?
Black women.
Oh, okay.
Because they feel like that is what Black guys want.
I can see that.
Is that something you experienced? Is that something was that part of your experience? Because it's that, with that, it's like they're worse than some other races on that.
I get the question. I also get the whole TikTok thing.
Yeah, I'm joking about TikTok thing.
No. I get it though, because there's a
from.
reason it's a TikTok, right? It
Right.
becomes like a stereotype and a
Right.
trope that people run with. I think it's actually a distraction ultimately. Like, yeah, there was shit like that did happen, but why does that shit happen? It's because we get told that we're tokens and that there's only a few of us and there's only a few spots or there's only a few black men and there's only and like it changes our brain chemistry to just go into attack mode, which is completely so not necessary.
Right.
So like, sure, some of that stuff happened, but that's not the stuff that I think about, or that's not the stuff that I carry with me, because the larger conversation is like, how did we get here? Yeah. Why do we have to exist like this? We don't have to exist like this. So how can we come together? So yeah, it's shit. But until we start having different conversations, like as a community all across the color line, I think we're going to kind of get stuck in those.
So how was
isms.
Singapore? Like, how was Singapore from a racism, segregation standpoint? Like, what are we talking about on this Eastern
Absolutely.
Hemisphere?
It's, I mean, I think colorism is a global phenomenon. I think we have our own particular brand of racism here in America for sure. But that concept of light is right is so around the world. It's disgusting. Like, it doesn't matter where you go. It plays on some level. You know, whitening cream is huge in Singapore. And the way that it's branded, the way that it's marketed, it's not this thing that, you know, if you go to Jamaica or parts of Africa, for instance, it's like very back alley hush hush. We're using this chemical to alter our skin tone. Yeah. But in Asia, it's like, this is on every beauty counter, you know, like this is what just women want to have, and it's socially acceptable to have. And it was really a bit of a mindfuck at that age, going over there and seeing the display of that. You know, I played sports in high school, and you would see parents and folks or grandparents especially out there with like umbrellas trying to make sure that the sun didn't touch them, but also chastising their daughters or their granddaughters if they were out in the sun too long, because of, you know, how that was going to have an impact on who you ended up marrying. And like, it's funny, but it's not. Of like, that was kind of that underlying thing. So even going all the way to Asia, you're not getting away from it necessarily. It's just a different conversation, you know? And then because there were very few black people at my school, you became the only on another level of like, you represent everything black, right? You know? And a lot of times people didn't know black people anywhere in Singapore, back where they came from in America. So it was just like,
you their first taste.
Yeah, that was a lot.
All right. So when you decided to come to the University of Virginia and you were in Brown School, I think it's called Brown School, Brown University, which is the housing place.
Brown College. Brown College,
Brown College. What was your experience like? What did you study at UVA?
Yeah. So I did foreign affairs.
Okay.
My area of focus was the Middle East. I also studied Arabic. I was very focused on being involved in State Department, some government agency early on in school. And as soon as I graduated, I realized that was not what I was about to do. I was not about to put myself on the line for this version of our country, so I kept it moving. But yeah, political science was a big draw of mine. It continues to be in its own way now, but that's what I studied at UVA.
Okay. Did you, at UVA, did you have any type of culture shock as far as how to move in different circles, sororities, things of that nature? You doing any of that stuff?
Sure, yeah. Being in the South was a culture shock. Singapore is a city-state. It's, you know, you got taxis, subways. You're moving around in high school. So to be so hard stopped, like can't go anywhere, don't have a car, can't move around. That in and of itself was a huge culture shock. And the slowness of the South, that all got to me. Yeah.
What does got to you mean? Like, he's ready to go?
No, I really was. I had considered transferring seriously. I was going to transfer to some city school. I had that in my mind until after second year. But obviously, ultimately, I stayed. But yeah, and then the sororities, of course, the whole Greek life, black, white, multicultural, whatever you want, that all really messed me up.
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, where do you fit in on that side?
I didn't, and I was okay with that. I mean, you know, it served its purpose. I totally respect everybody that did it, and I understand why, especially that age, you gravitate towards those things. Again, bigger picture, like why do we need them? What are they fueling in the long run? Particularly white institutions. Like, again, as Black folks, we can have our own conversation about a lot of things, but white institutions like that, I think, are so crazy powerful. And they get touted as these cutesy little things where you run around in your pearls or you have your, you know, keg parties. But
that's interesting because we never really talked about like the sororities and fraternities. Why there's like Black fraternities, Black sororities, white sororities, and white fraternities. And then you have like the one Black person that's over there at the white fraternity, and then everybody's looking like, why didn't you go to the Black fraternities?
Yeah.
Or the Black sorority.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because it just has that conversation of like, why does that matter? And why is it separated?
I mean, the great thing is UVA is not even as bad as it gets. Like the South is a whole nother level. I mean, they had the whole Alabama documentary for people who haven't watched it. That's like they have people whose full-time jobs, grown women, whose full-time jobs is coaching you how to make it into a certain sorority in different of these Southern schools, like mainly like Alabama or like Tennessee's, and like it's that big of a thing where like you'll pay somebody thousands of dollars and they'll coach you on how to make sure you get in.
But if you would have pledged, you would probably been in a white fraternity.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it would have just depended. Like, I didn't really look at it like, I know it's stupid to like, not the whole I don't see color thing, but like, I didn't really go into it. Like, you know, where I'm from in Northern Virginia, and the high school that I went to on the other side of town, not the one in my neighborhood, was a predominantly white high school. So like, when I came to UVA,
that's my friends.
We had like 20 or 30 people from our high school every year go to UVA. So like, I knew a bunch of people there. I had the football, which is its own fraternity, sorority, whatever you want to call it. But like, I had 100 people to choose from, where a lot of my best friends are still from. Yeah. So it's like, I feel like UVA was a Black fraternity in itself, football, right? So it's like, I just didn't have a problem. Like people like, oh, like you were able to mingle so well among everybody. I was like, I didn't even really see it like that until like after I graduated. Like I really was that oblivious that not everyone has that kind of experience that I have, where like this is just normal. Like I know these people, like they didn't treat me any different, but it definitely is.
These are my neighbors.
Yeah, exactly. But it's definitely a difference. You know, the further you remove yourself from it, you can definitely see some of the issues that it might have with like some systematic issues. But you know, to the credit of these fraternities and stuff, a lot of my friends from UVA were in there, and I never had any issues. I know some people had different experiences, but when you're in it, I don't want to say it's cult-like, but, you know, I don't blame these 17, 18-year-old kids. You know, we didn't know what we were doing. They're just in it to have fun. They just think, hey, like, you go to school. Like, you don't know very many people. This is a way for you to have 50 to 60 people that, you know, might have the same likes as you, or, you know, or you can call somebody to go hang out and have a party. Like, it's the same way, like, if we didn't play football, where would you find your best friends at? I don't know. Like, I wasn't finding them in class.
I definitely didn't feel like, you know, I don't know, maybe it's the way we grow up. Is there a reason why you chose not to do? You just chose like you didn't want to be part of? I know for me personally, like I didn't feel like no definitions. I don't need anybody to define.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm part of this group. I'm part of that group. I feel like I can move into any circle.
Do whatever I want. I don't want people also to be like, you know, like, I feel like if you are a part of
definitely
one,
not gonna have somebody try to tell me what to do.
Yeah, that's nothing. Like I feel like if you are a part of one, they're like, well, this is what you have to do. This is like who you can hang out with. You got to come to, and you know, you got to do these events and this and that. I'm like, I ain't about that. But I say that, but like, right, football. This is when you got to be here. This is what you got to do, and you know, this comes first, and you here for
They're paying for our whole school.
Yeah, that's the difference. But all right, it's just coming with a check. But what I'm saying is. You know,
you're an employee.
You're an employee of football. That's fair. But yeah, you know, I didn't see it like that when you know, just conversing throughout the school. And like I said, it's just
you thought it was an option to take all this money and not come to practice,
and not come to practice. So, well, I do think it's there's definitely some underlying issues around it. What I don't fault is 17, 18-year-olds. Like I want to have a good time in college. I want to have a good group of friends. This is the path that I've seen people I know take. You know, everyone tells you, hey, you know, the fraternity you join, these are going to be some of your best friends for your life, so choose it wisely. So yeah, of course you're going to dive into it and keep it close to your heart.
Nice. Yeah, so you got anything you want to add into the fraternity sorority talk?
She got a lot.
You know, I do, my wheels are turning. I'm like, yeah. I don't know. I hear what you're saying, Max, and I agree in some ways. Like, you get into that individual argument of you can't fault the kids, etc.
Yeah.
And where do you examine where things could be better. And like my first, like my thought goes to the decrease in Black students at UVA. And like, where does that come from? That's a crazy decrease that's happened. I don't want to say the numbers here because I'm going to get it wrong, but like there's a significant decrease in percentage of students. Yeah. And causation, correlation, you can't say exactly where it is, but I know that those institutions of fraternity and sorority that exist, and we don't have to get into which ones or what, has an impact on stuff like that. Yeah, it's not the only one. There are levers that can be pulled, you know, different things that happen, but to say that, oh, they're just having fun or we can't fault them, we can say that, and we have to still acknowledge that there is stuff happening that creates a lack of belonging or a lack of ability for everybody to be involved. And that's how those institutions can go along and everyone say, well, I didn't know. And it's like, nah, but we have to be better than just that. You know?
I don't fault the individual person, but once you become an organization, I agree with you. I agree with you. But we were just talking about how, like, you know, we used to have the casting scholar groups, which we were just a part of being an athlete, but it was, if you were a non-athlete, it was for, you know, minorities, mainly those people of color. But disadvantage that you came 3 months early, got to indoctrinate yourself into UVA during the summertime. You know, a majority of people aren't there. You know, you meet a bunch of people that look like you, know what you're doing, and you get to just navigate the university. So it's not a shock on day one and a culture shock. And we were just talking about how that's gone now. And, you know, for better or for worse, for some people, he was saying he thought it was great and it helped him get in UVA. And for others, it was like, well, that also then created another piece of separation. Like, well, I'm comfortable with this group. I'm not going to branch out. But I didn't know there was a decline in color in minorities at UVA. I'm not shocked, but it's good.
Was you about to say color folks?
I was, bro. I was.
Hey, can we
cut that out? Can we cut that out? She kept talking about the South.
We're here now.
Can we cut that? Can we cut that out of the podcast?
When's the last time you guys were there?
I mean, I go every
now. I mean,
I lived there for the last 4 years.
Okay.
So, but like as far as
like walking around on grounds and stuff like that.
Been about 3-4 years at least.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd go to the football games, but other than that, like, I wasn't really in like, you know, would I ever be at UVA campus or know this, you know? Like, I'm not shocked though.
Yeah, I don't know the numbers, but I'm on the real estate board, and
there you go.
You know, I'm in the mix a little bit, but I definitely didn't know those statistics for sure. So jumping back into like your experience at UVA, you stayed. We appreciate you staying.
Yes, y'all are welcome.
Yeah,
and then like, how was started 4th year things, studying foreign affairs, all those different type of things like that. Give us your opinions and thoughts on just your who Lex was in those time frames.
Yeah, I definitely hit my stride. Maybe my 3rd year, I found a solid core group of friends that I could maneuver, do things with. I really found myself in kind of, you know, maybe everybody feels this way, but it felt a little bit like a renaissance of Black folk that were coming together in a particular kind of way, international, US-based, kind of just wanting to have conversations about what was happening in our world and on grounds at the time. Like living wage was a really big issue that people were campaigning around and galvanizing around. You know, having Black folks living on the lawn was such a priority. Like it felt like there was a movement happening, you know? And so to be a part of that community was really special. Like it made up for those first 2 years not being what I had hoped. Still so close with all of those people. And I think it still forms who I am today. It's informed wanting to make film and wanting to talk about issues. Before it's all said and done, I will go back to Mr. Jefferson's University and air his shit out. That's my goal.
Okay.
I'm gonna put that on film.
Something to say.
You said it here?
Yeah,
first?
I did.
All right.
I did.
All right.
And I think that it will all be better for it. I don't think it's gonna be easy. I think you guys, even your response is like, that's gonna be uncomfortable. It will be.
Yeah.
But I think it's really necessary.
Okay.
No, that's good.
Yeah.
Do you think there's a lot of things that people don't know?
Oh, for sure. I think there's a lot of things people don't want to know.
Yeah.
It's easier. It's easier that way, especially when the world looks how it looks.
Yeah.
A lot of times we just want to stick our head in the sand
Keep it
and be
moving.
okay.
So even the things that we think that are like not good from what Thomas Jefferson has, like with this, was it Sally Cummings? Hemmings, yeah. And those different type of things. And obviously how the lawn was built and all those different type of things that are public knowledge. There's more. That was just telling me.
I think that there's more to be discussed about the complexities of those things. You know, like anything, if a narrative is out there long enough, it's going to get co-opted by something else or used for some other agenda. Mm-hmm. And I think even for Jefferson, we still find a way to idealize him. You know, the fact that I'm saying Mr. Jefferson's University, like there's still such an aura around him. And it's not, I'm not here to just be like, this guy was a fucking terrible, I'm not here to do that. But I do think that if, as a country, we can learn to look more objectively at those types of figures that we have put on the pedestal, we can look at ourselves present day more realistically about what's going on rather than continuing narratives that just, they're not real, you know?
Yeah. No,
Speaking of that, how do you feel, you know, they say we have more availability of information than we ever have, but we're one of the dumbest societies. So do you feel like being able to, you want to go back there and air it out, right? But like, do you feel like it's just so easy for people like, oh, fake news or give a different point? Like, do you feel that this availability of information, social media hurts or helps people like you in your case doing documentary films?
It's totally both.
Okay.
It's a crazy world. We're like in the upside down at the same time as the right. Like I wake up every day so confused. Yeah. I claim like I don't know anything anymore. You know, I never did really, but to attempt to answer your question with what I think I know, I think the people who need to be aware are getting aware. Like, yes, there is an issue of education globally, and there's also a realization that like all this shit that they have been telling us isn't exactly what it is, right? Whether it's UVA or America's diplomacy decisions, you know, like whatever it is, like it's just, and people are starting to sense that. And I think there's a lot of fear around what social media will cause people to be capable of. Like there's science fiction narratives all the time, right? About what's possible of galvanizing people once they get on a common goal, a common tear. I mean, look at Bob Marley. Like you can create that unity and you can create that catch fire with people. And I think social media has that potential. I think it could also be very quickly co-opted and used against us. It's just how much do we want to be in it?
Yeah. No, that's real. We know the story from the perspective that it's told. Right? Yeah. So that's enough statement in itself. Right. Yeah. Let's see here. So you graduated from University of Virginia. Where'd you go after that?
So I went to Arlington initially. I got a job at a bank. I was cool. I really had no idea what I wanted to do with myself. I didn't know that I was smart all through college. Like I really didn't hit me, and we could go into all the reasons why that is. But yeah, so I didn't know how to plug my potential anywhere. And so, you know, finding the job, getting the $1,500, $1,800 apartment in Arlington and doing the thing and getting the gym membership and like going out on the weekends. Did that whole shit. And I got so bored. I was so bored. Oh my God. I just like, what am I doing? And because of the way that things are set up, that often just meant like trying to get more news. And so I watched a lot of news. And so I said, okay, I'm not going to go into politics, I guess, or I'm not going to go into government or foreign affairs, but I could talk about that. And so that was where the idea, and I think it was long deep in me. I just couldn't admit it to myself. You know, your parents tell you. My dad's parents immigrants to this country, and so it's that classic. If you're not a doctor or lawyer, you're not doing anything. And so mostly through UVA, I was still trying to convince myself I was going to be a doctor, and I just didn't want to. So by the time I left, I figured when I started thinking about journalism, I figured if I did something like that, if I was at a CNN, you know, I could then justify all this money my parents spent for me to go get this education, out of state tuition, all of that stuff.
Out of the country. Yeah.
Out of country. Yeah, that too. Yeah. So I decided to apply to journalism school and embarked on that journey. And through that time, I realized I wanted to do documentary film.
Nice. And you went to journalism school in New York. Got back to that fast pace.
I did. I found the city. The city found me. Yeah, I lived in Harlem. It was it was what I needed.
Sounds about right.
Yeah.
Sounds about right.
Cool. Yeah. So you went from there, and so I guess tell us about that program. Was it a 2-year program, 4-year program?
Yeah, it was 2 years.
Yeah.
It went by really fast. It in the heart of New York, which is why I chose it. My other option was actually Syracuse, which is the UVA of New York, and I didn't want another like rural experience. I couldn't fathom that. So, I actually continued working at the bank while I was in school. So I was between New York and DC a lot. I lived on Amtrak, actually. Yeah.
That's a tough ride too.
It was, yeah.
The Wi-Fi is not as good on Amtrak. Amtrak, you gotta fix that.
It's the same thing. It's also
crazy,
6 hours. It's the
yeah.
same as driving. You just don't have to be the one driving. But
No, but I didn't drive because I could be on Wi-Fi. Then the Wi-Fi is spotty.
The Wi-Fi is not guaranteed. Mm-hmm. But that's when you have the company paying for your unlimited.
There you go.
5G or whatever it was then. Mm-hmm. So we made it work. It wasn't easy, but I did it.
That's what's up.
Yeah.
All right, so you're in journalism. You're in the heart of the city. Yeah. You're back and forth. You're on Amtrak. You're in the mix. You're definitely not bored now.
No, I'm not bored.
You're definitely not bored.
Running all the time. Running.
Yeah. So you jump into when did you start the documentary, the production company?
Didn't start the production company until after COVID occurred. Yeah, so it was 2021.
You seem like you may have some thoughts on the vaccination, COVID-19.
No. Don't ask me these questions.
I'm fine. We'll have to bring her back
on. Drink your water, take your medicine, do what you got to do.
We'll have to bring her back on for that one.
She seems like she has an opinion.
Yeah. Strong one.
Yeah.
No. Don't put me in that. No, I like everyone else, went through some stuff with COVID. I was actually still, after I graduated from grad school, I stayed at the bank.
Okay.
And so I actually took another position there, and I worked in organizational development and culture change for a little while. It was my last ditch effort to stay in corporate America. And I learned so many things. It was very cool. I got to work with some amazing mentors of mine till this day, on pre-George Floyd, pre-2020 and everything that was that summer, trying to get white leaders in corporate America to look at themselves and look at all these numbers that were coming out of like, why can you get no one into your C-suite? Why do you have all of these Black folks, marginalized folks still in your entry-level positions 10, 20 years later? Like, what's going on? All this stuff that the numbers were showing, and it was going to have an impact at some point, and the data was going to have to come out at some point. So they were trying to get ahead of that. But as they do, they bumped into themselves. It actually was really disheartening when everything happened in 2020, when George Floyd was murdered. Companies realized how quickly they could throw money at a problem. How quickly, if they wrote a letter and said, this is so sad and we don't stand for this, yada, yada, they can make a lot of their problems go away. And so, I saw that happen, and it was no longer a genuine effort. It was all lip service. And so I quickly realized I was going to have to do something else with my life.
There you go.
Okay.
And so, this documentary, I was working on it. I got some funding opportunities that kind of came out of
Were you deep into
nowhere.
Protesting that was going on around the country during the Black Lives Matter
in
movement?
In my own way. So, everybody has their role and everybody has a part. And I think that I talked to you guys about being a witness. That has actually had a really huge impact on my physical well-being over time, being so involved, caring so much about things, that I have to be mindful of how much I put myself in.
Yeah.
The community that I've chosen to live in has its own, Ward 8, the life expectancy of folks 3 miles away in Capitol Hill is like 15 years higher. Like that kind of stuff is real. It has impact on how you live your life day to day. Are you listening to sirens every day? Are you listening to distress every day? Are you living around people who are in distress every day? So it's like, what ways do you continue to contribute to the movement? Me telling stories, me being involved in media in this way is how I do that. And being on the ground always isn't the best for my nervous system.
No, it's not the best for me either.
Yeah.
I just can't imagine being out there and the police, in my face and talking crazy to me. I got a bad.
Yeah.
I'll probably be one.
I mean, you feel that every day. Yeah.
I'll probably be one of the casualties.
Yeah.
All right, so let's get into the documentary business. So your brother, you said he went to UVA. He's older, younger, twins.
He's 3 years younger.
Okay, nice.
Yeah.
So he went to UVA, and was he a production? Like, where did the production idea even come from?
So I guess I knew I was making film for the time being. That was going to be the way that I was
Gonna do that.
in the work and staying focused. And so I figured if we were going to do that, we might as well make it a whole suite of things to be able to offer, just to give freedom, flexibility, figure out what directions, because we really didn't know what we were doing. We knew we were going to make these films, but what was it going to become? How did we want to structure things? My brother's the quote unquote business guy. I'm the creative. He worries about is an LLC or an S corp.
Why'd you quote unquote him?
Because
Like he ain't serious.
no.
He's out there just for fun.
Let me. No, can we cut that from the? No, seriously. No, he's very serious. It's not a matter of him. I say quote unquote because as an artist, I get a little sensitive about the business side of things. It's not my wheelhouse.
His role just a joke out here, bro.
No.
He said it's the business.
Quote unquote.
Yo, don't do my man's like that. No,
You did him like that.
no, y'all are hyping the situation. No. Shout out to my brother. No, he's an amazing guy. No, he does the business, and I've been working more on the visuals, storytelling, putting it all together. Yeah. Yeah.
So you talked about you guys have done 2 or 3 so far?
We're working on 2.
Working on 2, done 1.
And what is the?
Done.
I mean, I know you're the creative side, but what is the business side? Like, what is this? What is the end goal of actually? You do this, you put the whole story together, you feel fulfilled.
Yeah.
And like, where does it go from there?
We were talking about this before with you guys. I'm planting seeds. Mm-hmm. I don't know what's going to come of this. Like the way that it came about was really serendipitous and wild in and of itself. So I do feel like I am on a path following a calling, being guided by something that I really am. I'm dumbfounded. So I don't know where this all goes, but I do feel in my heart of hearts when I am executing on things that are extremely important, that I feel passionate about, like the next thing comes. So how do these films have impact? I couldn't tell you at this point, but I really hope it elevates not only what's happening in my community in Ward 8, but how this is playing out on a national and international level. Like economic development is everywhere. That's all anybody wants to talk about. You want to talk about what's happening in the world today. So much of it is about resource grabbing, and so Anacostia, Ward 8 is not dissimilar from that. And so often the people are the resource. Like DC can't function without a lot of the people that exist in these neighborhoods, but they don't invest in them. They don't give them what they need to survive. And so you come out with something like the crime bill. I don't know if you guys are familiar with this crime bill that just came out, but it's a pretty wild bill that is going to have a deep impact on people. And it's ultimately going to fuel gentrification. And who's going to be able to tell those stories,
So with gentrification, and I know could probably be talked about for a while, but I know DC has the TOPA rights, right? And, have you heard about? You know about a little bit about TOPA rights?
What are you saying?
TOPA rights. So TOPA rights
Google him.
was used to try to fight gentrification, right?
Okay.
And the theory was, hey, if you are coming into underserved community and you want to buy out, like developers want to buy out, the people who live there have first rights to buy that home, right, and flip it up. But the caveat is, you have to prove that you have the ability to buy that home. So it's a pretty big caveat. So what? Yeah. So in theory, it was great, but what happened was a lot of these big firms, mainly they happen to just be white firms, would front the cash. Yeah. Be like, oh, okay, here you go. Here is a proof of funds that you could buy this house, but you could take the TOPA rights. The developer will pay you 20, 30 grand, whatever it is. And we take our 10%, you get your money, and then you leave and you sell the house to them. They'll buy your TOPA rights. So, it seems like in DC, there has been a lot of gentrification, and they've tried, I'll give them that, whether they tried hard enough. But what is a high level trend that we can actually help gentrification? Because everything they've tried just ends up not working.
Yeah. Whew. Yeah, if I had that answer, I probably wouldn't be sitting on the sofa, no offense. But, you know,
okay. So
like...
that's fair.
Respectfully.
That's
no,
fair.
but let me tell you this. I will say this. I think we rush to ask these questions because we're like, okay, so if you don't have the answer, what is the answer? And I think that's part of the jig. Again, in like terms of distraction, we just go from answer to answer to answer to answer. We try it out, knowing good and well that it's probably mostly the same as what happened before because history repeats, right? But in the meantime, everybody's getting a piece of that. Everybody's getting a piece of the new idea and the new whatever. And so agendas get flipped. And so again, talking about people becoming aware, like there has to be a level of, we're going to start the conversation at, this has all been fucked up. Not, oh, we keep trying. Oh, let's try again a new way.
Okay.
Like there needs to be a different conversation that hasn't been had yet. And when we rush to find solutions, we oftentimes skip that step.
Yeah.
And again, voices of the community don't get heard. And if it happens again and again and again, those people don't live there anymore to even give the opportunity to say something different. That's like fair. Everybody has to talk a certain way or look a certain way to get those contracts or to get involved in those things. And that leaves so many people out. Yeah. Yeah.
That's a good point.
Man, I mean, it's all these things that I know that are facts, and you're just like, I guess we're just numb to.
We just gloss over it. Honestly, we're lucky enough that...
And Lex is over here coming in like, did you see that?
Did you see that? Yeah.
We seen it.
I'm sitting here I seen it and I glossed over it. You know what I'm saying? I ain't gonna lie to you. I ain't gonna lie to you.
Seriously, I appreciate you saying it like that. And also, it's real. We have to numb out. Like, I leave the country for periods at a time because I can't be here and do this kind of stuff. You know? Like, it's the natural reaction to numb out. And when... you're also dealing with generations that have had to deal with these things. You have a lot of history on being able to numb out. Like, it's real. And I do it too. I get caught up in it. Like, I don't want to think about anything else. I don't want to, you just want to sit in the sofa and let it be. And because you have the ability to, right? Yeah. Like,
I mean, I'm from Kentucky, and I'm from a white neighborhood in Kentucky. And most of my full street is Trump Street. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So,
you're just trying to
those
stay
are my
alive.
neighbors and friends. Like, those are my neighbors and friends.
Right. It's a little different. It's like, oh, man, you bring politics.
Those are my neighbor friends. And,
because they know you.
You're just in rooms and you just know you have differences, and you just almost try to, especially when you're in business, it gets so...
You try to rock the boat.
Yeah, it gets so murky.
Whew.
Yeah.
I feel you. You know how many people from UVA can probably have this exact conversation on this couch like that? Which is because, if you quote unquote make it, if you get into those rooms, you want to be in there.
You want to try to stay in there. Yeah.
I get it. But also, like, if you're the only one that gets in there,
what's the point?
What do we accomplish?
Yeah, what's the point of you being there?
You know? Or if it continues, and so just your child gets in there too, right? And then I thought about this for a long time. There becomes a point, and I think we're watching some of it play out, where like, that tokenism game doesn't work anymore. Yeah. You know, that like being and only, and because we get to a point where we claim, because we're all black people, we're still part of a community. But it's like, no, we fractured ourselves so deep, and we never had any of these conversations anyway. Yeah. And we closed the door behind us anyway. Like, there's so many things that happen that we don't just get second and third and fourth and fifth chances on. Yeah. Like, we have to address it at some point. Yeah. But it's scary. It's scary to be the first. It's scary to speak up. It's scary to look a white man in the face and be like, you're wrong. I'm not shucking and jiving for you today.
Yeah, no, that's real.
And on the other, playing devil's advocate, right? Some people feel like, if I say this, I'm the first one in here. I didn't ruin it for everybody because they're looking at me like,
sure,
I'm the I'm the example. They're like, see, this is what happens when you bring one of them in here. Yeah. So you try to play that role like, well, I don't want to mess it up for everyone else. But then at the same time,
I think that's also why you have the Muhammad Ali's, the Colin Kaepernicks.
Yeah. Yeah, people get tired of not talking.
Are respected amongst the community for sacrificing as much as they can sacrifice for the better good of the situation.
Yeah.
And a lot of people, you know what I'm saying?
They ain't built for that sacrifice.
Nah. Some people be like this, hey, why are you over there sacrificing? I'm going to take your job.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And that's what
there's always going to be a Judas. Like, you got to figure out how to balance that all. But I always tell my brother this. I tell him, I'm like, if you're not sacrificing that level enough to the point that it scares you, you're not doing it right. You just like the
issue is when everybody's not together, right? Like, that's the biggest issue. But
everybody's not going to be together.
Yeah, but we if I'm going to do this and then you going to sit there and back in what I'm doing, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Now we fighting against each other.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And one thing my dad told me was like, he was like in football and things of that nature, they did some things like trying to stand up for like player rights and stuff like that. And then like that some of the team would go behind and say, hey, I'm not good. I'm cool, whatever you guys want to do for me. And they're like, no, you can't be on the team no more. If you're going to stand against what we want as a group. You know what I'm saying? So it's almost like, you know, so many people are trying to understand that they think that their own personal growth is better than the whole's growth.
Absolutely, yeah. Individualism is a crazy drug in this country. Yeah.
So I mean,
it's tough.
I understand it too. I mean, I know Max. I know Max like the back of my hand. I'll tell you right now. You know what I'm saying? He gonna tell you something in your face, and then he gonna go behind your back and say, "Hey, this is what I did."
Nah.
Don't lie to me. Don't lie, Max.
I ain't gonna go. I ain't gonna go behind your back. I'm gonna say it to your face, and I'm gonna
say it to my face.
I'm gonna say it to your face. I'm gonna let you know. Now, I ain't gonna say it to your face and be a disruptor. I'm gonna say it to your face. I ain't sitting here and gonna make lies that hey, I'm out here about to sacrifice everything I have. And at the early stages, it was one of those things like, man, I went through all this stuff by myself.
Yeah.
No one was there at the bad. So why I got to give it all up for these people who ain't helping? And I will admit, like, it's not the best way to think about it. I'll be 100 with y'all. I'll keep it 100. It ain't the best, but like at the same time, it's like those like not the problem, but like what I've seen is those same people who will fight for you when you up there. Once you lose it, they're like, all right, we out. You were there.
You're going to clip people put it on TikTok.
Hey, I know. You were there saying these same things when I ain't have it. So, you know, when I fought for it and you finally got it, I can see both sides where it's like.
If you was in my shoes and you had $1 million contract, would you turn it down?
That's what I'm, you know, and it's the same, like, it's not right. It doesn't make it right now, but like, it's the same thing where, you know, Colin Kaepernick had millions and millions of dollars and I think he did the right thing. There are some players who are, you know, came from nothing, are on a rookie contract or on a league minimum.
Sacrifice with them.
League minimum, that sacrifice with them, that's the right thing.
Would you have done, hold on, time out. That's the question right there. Can I ask this question real quick?
Sure.
Go ahead.
I'll ask this to you too, Lex. All right. So Colin Kaepernick, he's made millions of dollars. Let's put him as one of our teammates. And then you are his teammate and you just got into the league. Probably made about $15,000 so far.
That's it.
And we're fighting for you and your rights. Are those people the ones that kneel, or are those people the one that's thinking like, man, I ain't even got none yet, I'm just getting here type situation, when really they're fighting for you, they're sacrificing for you? Like, what does that decision look like?
You asking me?
Yeah, go ahead.
Hey, so for me,
Oh God, you don't even gotta say nothing else, Max.
all I'm saying is, like, in the climate when it happened, I'm gonna be honest with you. The decision for me is like, look, I still gotta get mine, and the reason being is because what I saw in that climate is there were so many people like, I still gotta get mine. It's like if everyone was unified and everyone in that position was like, yeah, but there was too many people that went there to get there. I ain't gonna be, because like you gotta take care of me. Like,
I gotta clip that.
But if we gonna be honest, how many of those people that were on that borderline probably did, and we haven't even heard about them. They got kicked out. This man got millions of dollars, got a Nike contract after it. Like, he's straight.
Yeah.
And nothing against him. He probably doesn't even know some of these guys, but like, these guys can't go to him and be like, yo, I just got kicked out. You gonna pay my league minimum this year? Yeah. No.
No, I understand. I'm on the fence about it, honestly. But I also think it has to do with how we came up. I don't think we had as many hardship and understand the fight and the struggle that a lot of the black community goes through on a daily basis. I swear. Like,
we saw a lot of keep your head down, do the right thing, and you're gonna be all right.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, like, in general, we seen our parents, middle class, whatever you want to call them, that were in a space where, you know, we didn't have to struggle as much as a lot of our peers a lot of our community peers, right? Where they're coming up, like even my cousins, like, are close as me, they go through a different situation than I'm going through, right?
Yeah.
But at the same time, those are the people that we have to, like Lex is saying, like, stand up for, because that's what she's doing. She's the voice for the voiceless, right? And so much of our community is voiceless. When you do get the chance to have the mic, it has to be standing on the business of everybody else that can't even get it. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So I understand. Like,
and also pass the mic.
Pass it to you.
You know, like,
you're right.
It's not just for me to be the voice. It's to just climb, do whatever the fuck I can. Like, it's not even about right and wrongs, Max, because, like, we could laugh about what you decide to do, not do. And in that moment, I don't know what I'm going to do. Hopefully, I'm never playing the game of football, to be honest, like, respectfully. So that's also a thing. But if you're not kneeling, what else are you doing? Rather than making it like a false narrative or a dichotomy of this or that or on or off, it's like everybody has a role to play, and is everybody standing on business in the best way that they know how in that moment, based off of their level of awareness, to make a difference.
Right.
And it's not just zero-sum game. It's not just, because the question becomes, I got to get mine, but what is getting yours? And in a capitalist society, you always got to get more.
Yeah.
And there's never enough. They're constantly baiting you, telling you, if you don't have this, then you're going to be out. You're going to be at the bottom soon. Yeah. Like, that's how we're constantly thinking.
Yeah. And I mean, I'm on the mindset.
Let me touch on one more thing, just so I have my point clear on this.
Go ahead.
I think in my younger days, I'm probably in your mindset. I think the more that I've been in this,
you didn't mention the fact that, like, you know how hard it is to make it to the NFL.
Absolutely,
personally.
I understand how hard.
So that's your first year. You done made it.
You know how much you sacrifice. But I'm saying back then, I would probably make that decision like you're talking about.
Yeah.
But now that I've been in corporate America, understand the systems, understand the level of how things are built for us to fail, for us to struggle. Yeah.
Might change your mind.
Yeah, you can't do nothing but sacrifice whatever you got for.
And you don't know what you don't know until you know it.
So. What I will say
there's too many doors. There's too many doors that we like. The doors that you think is actual doors, like that 50,000, is not even a door.
No, it's not. It's not. But I will say what was mentioned earlier to a different podcast guest. She said she found out that she wanted to work in the nonprofit space, but she found out like you make the biggest change by being able to have the resources to make that change.
Absolutely.
So, it's give and take. So you got to get to a point to where you can't.
So Max, you gonna start funding these documentaries I'll make? Because if your role is money man, come on.
Listen,
your role is money man.
Put up the capital.
Is your corporation set up as a 501c or are you LLC?
501c3?
Are you a 501c or you LLC?
Because if it's not, then we ain't.
If it's not, we just got to talk different numbers, right?
That's all right. If you're a 501c, talk to my business guy, okay?
If you're a 501c, then I got we got some money for you.
Okay.
If you a LLC for a profit, like I gotta make profit too before I can give it to for a profit.
It's really scary here. Help, please help.
Yeah, we can do that. You know what I'm saying? But no, 501c, I'll make a donation. But now if we LLC for profit, like that's called a sponsorship. I got what what am I gonna get out of sponsor in the document? Yeah, we gotta get something out of it. You know what I'm saying? But if you're a 501c straight nonprofit, then we can just get free money.
Yeah, I heard.
That's real.
We'll talk about it. Yeah. Like I said, talk to Adam.
We talk about it. But
all I'm saying is everybody got a role. If that's you want me to roll,
that could be my role. We can, we can work something out. I'm cool with that.
Some doll hairs.
I'm cool with that. Yeah. But we ain't gonna be out here.
You made a lot of commitments on season 5 so far.
Nah. I just say we ain't gonna be out here. I'm funding the for profit, and they make a profit. I ain't gonna go kickback. But now if we fund a nonprofit, you ain't making no profit. I don't need no kickback. You know what I'm saying? Let's just make it work for everybody.
Yeah, understood.
That's all. I think that's fair.
Money talks.
So Lex, what is your goals?
What are my goals? Whew. I want to be a good human.
Start off with the podcast with I'm a human being.
Yeah.
Love it.
End the podcast with I want to be a good human.
That's I love it. I love it.
Yeah. I got a lot of things I want to do, no question.
Okay, before we get off here, now that's a good point. Like, do you feel like, do you think that you have to, like, good people finish last, nice people finish last? Do you feel like that is a sentiment?
No, I don't actually. I don't. Okay. I think there's a lot of narratives that create that. I think, in my industry, quote unquote, there's also a lot of propaganda that gets created to make people think a certain way. Again, scarcity mindset, like what is possible, what isn't possible, what is possible for people that look like us, what is not possible. I think the world is also shifting in a very rapid and unique and chaotic way. And I think that what we were raised to believe was going to be success or was going to make us good or set is no longer a reality.
Yeah.
I think we're actually looking at like a hologram at this point. So I think there's so much opportunity to think differently. It doesn't have to be scary. I think a lot of people will be scared because we've just gotten so comfortable with this life. But I think there's so much opportunity to do and be a part of really amazing things if we can get our brains a little bit refocused on why are we here.
No, that's right. That's a good answer. So what is the goals for your company, for a production company?
For my production company, I want to create stories. Like I said, I want to create stories that have impact. I want them to be relatable. Ideally, the focus is local. I think everything has to start locally because that's just where we are. It's where we're present. And stories catch fire. So I know that the stories that we're telling in Ward 8 have resonance in the South Side of Chicago, in New York, in parts of California, LA. Like I know that this resonates with people. I know it resonates with people in South Africa. I know it resonates with people in Malaysia and the Philippines. Like it's an international thing that we are facing. And the more that those stories can impact that and tell that, the better. I don't think that I will do this forever, though. I think there's a lot of different things I want to do. So,
do you have an itch for policy, politics, government stuff?
Ooh, I don't think I'll get elected anywhere, to be honest. I think I'm a little too out there for folks. But I'd be happy to think about that with other people. I'd be happy to brainstorm like that, those types of things. Community is so important to me. So the opportunity to build in community is my next big dream goal.
Okay.
Look forward, yeah.
Well, let everybody know where they can keep up with you and follow your journey, path, and the company. Yeah,
I'm an Aquarius, so I don't like to be out there too much, but y'all can find me on Instagram at Lex Boothe with an E at the end. Video Booth Collaborative is the name of our production company, so you'll see more of that coming out for sure. But yeah. Thank you guys.
Thank you. We appreciate you being on.
Fun.
But before we finish, we rapid fire. We do our rapid fire questions.
Right. Oh shit.
So rapid fire means
forgot about that.
This
part.
Or that. You got to choose whichever one you feel is top of mind for you. All right.
Y'all, I'm a both and kind of person.
Nope. Too bad. Yeah. Pick
What's gonna happen here?
First thing that comes to your mind.
Yeah.
All right. Can I pass?
Don't make this more hard.
Yeah. You can say neither. You can say
pass.
neither.
All right.
All right. Hotels or Airbnbs?
Airbnbs.
Listen to books or read books?
Read books.
Go to the movies or watch Netflix?
Go to the movies.
A lot of people would say go to the movies.
A lot of people love movies, bro. They're bringing movies back.
Cable or streaming?
Streaming.
IG stories or IG posts?
Stories.
Watch the news or read the news?
Both.
Would you rather start a podcast or write a book?
Podcast.
Apple or Android?
Neither.
Detroit pizza or New York pizza?
New York pizza.
If you were moving, would you hire a moving company or would you get your friends to help you move?
A moving company.
There it is. There it is.
I appreciate it. Yes.
Yeah, guys. Thank you.